Well, good morning. Welcome to this morning's broadcast of Apostle of the Future. Tell your friends, those who are apostles, work with apostles, interested in the apostolic call to be an apostle, but not one yet. Get online or share, and tell your friends to watch it later after work. All right. Good morning to those of you who are tuning in. It's a icy morning here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. See how things will end up today. But as you can see from today's title, good morning, God's morning to you. We're going to be addressing apostolic mentorship. And what does it mean to be mentored apostolically or to mentor apostolically? Who in the world should be mentored? And today I'm just going to have some mentorship moments with you as an apostle. So if you are an apostle, if you're apostolic in nature, if you belong to an apostle's ministry, if God has called you to be an apostle, but you're not yet there because it's not time. Sometimes it's not time. Sometimes you haven't had the training. Today is just for you. So share and share. I'm going to put this up here right now. You can email me. This is my email address for more information about apostolic mentorship. I am going to start offering apostolic mentorship specifically as a service, as an advisor. It is time. That's what Dr. Price had told me. Even a part of my commission as an apostle is to mentor this generation. Now, this generation can fall under two thoughts. It's either the young people in this generation or this generation as in the people on the planet right now. Yes, Prophet Dwayne, apostolic mentorship. And so anybody who is interested in wanting me to be your advisor apostolically, email this address, and I'll be able within the coming days to send you some information about what that type of arrangement and mentorship would entail. I really encourage those, even, Prophet Dwayne is watching, who know you do have an apostolic assignment in the earth. God hasn't shifted you there yet. This is a great time to get mentorship. Those of you who aren't sure, those who are working alongside an apostle and want to compliment them, get it right, undergird, understand. If you are an apostle who was thrown into this thing, or you are doing quite well, but still want some mentorship, sign up with me. I'm going to tell you how you can do that, because apostles and prophets do not have opportunities like the remainder of the fivefold to get teaching and training. You can go to any Christian school, a lot of them, and have Christian university, Christian college is going to be a pastor's program. There's going to be an evangelist or missions program, and those are not the same thing, but somewhere where that piece of you can be trained and developed. We know any university worthy of its salt has a teaching program in general, theology courses, Bible courses for the teacher. But the apostle and prophet, not so, which is also why they take such a beating in the body of Christ and in the world, not just because it's how many times people say they're just out of order. You're just out of order. Well, if you don't have anybody to teach you what the order is, then you will be out of order, really trying to do your job. And so I want to work with you in that. But today I'm going to highlight various aspects of what maybe you would want to be mentored in. Because if you don't know the nuances and the variances of the apostles' office and the mantle, or maybe you're called to be an apostolic gifting, which means that you might not be having a regional or a national jurisdiction as far as what God has called you to do, but you have a local church or your community or your area. Either way, every level needs to be trained. We want the local law enforcement to be trained just like the federal law enforcement to be trained. Training doesn't become less important because your jurisdiction is smaller. And I think sometimes we think that the bigger you go, the more you need. But truly, if you're in a small town, you want that law enforcement to have big town training, don't you? Because, hey, criminals are criminals, drugs are drugs. Big city, small city, the same kind of damage is done. And you want to make sure that the enforcement officers who are there to protect you have the highest level of training. So it's not about the size of your ministry. It's not about how many people are in your congregation, because Lord knows when I moved to Tulsa, the first question people ask me when after what church do you go to is how many people go to your church. And I'm thinking, now I grew up in Pennsylvania, never had that question asked ever. It was, where was your church? Who is your pastor? When do you have service? Came out here and I felt like I am in an alternate reality where people weighed and measured who really God was speaking to and where they should go to church based on how many people were in attendance. And that was a shock to me because I had never heard of that or seen that as an actual standard for determining where you should go or where the Lord was truly speaking. So, in thinking about your training and development, it's not about how many people are or are not in your church. It's not about, because now size does, the larger you go, for sure, the greater the dynamics, just the property management alone, the people management, the leadership team management. So the more numbers you have, yeah, absolutely, there the complexity increases because you're juggling and dealing with things in greater quantities. However, at the foundation, you need to be solid. We all went to school for whatever your profession is without having a job in that profession. You got the highest level education possible, probably before you entered into your career, not knowing where you were going to land. Are you going to have a big corporate America job? Are you going to have a small business? Are you going to have a small company? Either way, big business, small business, on a basic level, you need to know numbers. You need to know how to keep the books. You need to know how to file taxes. And again, but the bigger you are, sometimes the more complex, and bigger might mean bigger your vision, not necessarily bigger your staff. So increase in numbers certainly changes how you do things. I would never say it didn't. We've been small, we're big, and everything in between. I grew up big, well, big where I was, small by Tulsa standards. I mean, I'm telling you, I came out here and I was in all kinds of shock as far as what the norm, the church norm was here. So it's different for every area. A teacher who has a small classroom of students, maybe they're in a small private school versus one that's in a huge public school, you still need to know how to teach your subject, whether you're teaching it to 5 people or 55 people or 5,500 people if you're in a university. Our teaching is to develop you and train you before you enter in. But if you're already in, and if you didn't get that training and development, I'm here for you. All right. And so we can work together in building that. So what in the world is apostolic mentorship, and who really, what are some things that apostles can be mentored in? Well, I tell you what, in Eternity's Generals, this is the Apostles book by Dr. Paula A. Rice, who just turned 70 years old. Happy birthday to you again, Dr. Price. Okay, Eternity's Generals here. She maps out some powerful things. Now, listen, anybody can read a book and anybody can be mentored and developed by those books. I would not say anything less than that. However, there is a difference between reading a book and leaving it up to your own experience and interpretation of what to do with that information versus having a mentor go through it with you. I have as far as I'm concerned, the best mentor in the business, Dr. Paula Price. Second to none. And it's in the fruit. You measure somebody's level of expertise or greatness in their fruit, not just the massive amounts of people that flock to them, but the results in those people's lives. And in our earlier years, man, did she take the heat for how she mentored. Whoa, the things people said, the rumors that they started, and on and on. Some of you heard them years ago. Well, what happened was we grew up and the fruit of her mentorship became apparent. And a lot of people began to change their tune when some of the people that they ran off to follow fell, and fell publicly and horribly, and very embarrassed in the fall. And we grew up to become who we are, who we have become, and who we are yet becoming. And so, in going through materials, it's really important that to the best of your ability, you have a mentor who can groom you, tweak you, encourage you, strengthen you, pull you back, rein you in, let you go, unleash you, if necessary, rebuke you. That's pretty extreme out there as far as correction goes, and lead you to where you want to go. Two things that we teach here about mentorship. Are you ready to learn? Two things that we teach. One, never be mentored by somebody that you don't want to become. Are we talking about clones? No. We're talking about you do not want to be mentored by somebody who inherently you disagree with. People have had a rough time under Dr. Price's mentorship sometimes because they want her results, but they don't want to do it her way, as in the way she did it to achieve those results. So they'll say, I want to write books on apostleship, but not go through the process of learning what it means to even produce the books. Well, I want to get out there and preach the way you preach or teach, but not go through the process. So over the years, if you are under somebody right now who you say, I agree with their results, I just don't agree with the way they do it, then they should not be your mentor, because a mentor is supposed to impart into you. Do you hear me? Impart into you a piece of their mantle, a piece of their anointing. Moses and Joshua. Moses imparted into Joshua. He just didn't sip coffee and share tea and, catch up on the phone every now and again. Hey, man, what's up, y'all? I'll message you. I'll text you, whatever. He imparted. He poured into him. That's what we call pouring into. He poured into him a piece of himself so Joshua could be empowered to continue what God had given Moses to do that he was not able to finish, and not willing to finish in some ways because of pieces of him that were never converted, that were never delivered. Moses had that hot temper, hot temper, and it got him in trouble in his youth, and ultimately it took him out at the end. He had a hot temper, which is often tied to ego. His ego was off the charts, yet God said that he was also very meek. So very complex guy there, Moses. Let me pull that down. Okay. It's important. One, like I said, that you want to become like that person. That's why you sit under somebody, isn't it? And I want to be just like we say that. I want to. Now, in the body of Christ, we'll say it's pride. But if it's your child who wants to be a basketball star and some famous basketball player has a basketball camp, well, you're going to send them to their basketball camp because they're the best. And I want to be like Michael Jordan. What made Kobe Bryant Kobe was he modeled himself after Michael Jordan, and and he had the DNA ability to become it, not just to want it, but to become it. And so we see in outside of the church world, while you always want to find the person who's at the top of their game, who's done it their best, and any training opportunity they have, and then immerse yourself. Oh no, we spent every summer we went to so-and-so's basketball camp. Oh no, every summer, man, we fundraised, we saved money, we did all these kind of things because it's worth it. In the body of Christ, automatically we smack people down with that's pride. That's pride. You had to pay how much money to be mentored by whomever? Yeah, if you want to get the results. So you don't want to be mentored. You don't want to be mentored by somebody that you don't like or doesn't like you. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll always agree, because agreement and liking are not the same thing. And then the other thing, which is really the second thing that we teach, is your mentor should be no less than 2 to 3 levels above you and where you're wanting to go. Your mentor should have achieved what you are seeking to achieve, or else how can they mentor you in getting there? Now, if it's a coach, let's just say for a team, then you're looking at how many other superstars have they made. No, so your coach doesn't have to be in the NBA. Maybe they are a retired player, but maybe not. But so how many people have you trained? How many? I have a vocal coach that I'm going to sign up with, and this company has people who have been everywhere, that they have trained in various aspects, from ministerial to worldly, secular, whatever, on this show, on that audition. And that's what you're looking for in mentorship. So when you're seeking out who you should trust or investigate or vet to groom you, it's their reputation, their fruit. In scripture will say you will know them by their fruit. What do the people look like, not even just physically, but how do they express themselves? What do their lives look like? Those who you mentor. Dr. Price made a comment on Sunday about Rachel, who's my assistant. And Dr. Price was going through a new product that she's rolling out. And Rachel jumped up. She was up there. I heard the story later, and pulled out the jump. I got this. She told the team, hold on, I have it. Got the laptop, pulled it up, connected the thing. Boom. Had the slides right there on the screen. Dr. Price said, and look at whose mentee you are. She's my mentee, and I'm Dr. Price's mentee. I'm Dr. Price's assistant. She's my assistant. And you can see a continuity with the prophets, the lead prophets and their assistants. You can see a continuity of excellence. You can see that continuity of thought, of forethought, of getting ahead of the game. And so you should be able to follow. Well, this person was mentored by that one. These are their people. Those are their people. When I look at Rachel and her team and how she works with her team and develops her team, and she's still a prophet in training, I'm like, okay, we see it flowing down. You have to have the capacity for what your mentor wants to pour into you. Somebody write that down. You have got to have the capacity to house their greatness. In essence, you have to have the capacity of their wisdom, of their counsel. What does that mean, Apostle Ashley? Well, how in the world, meaning when your mentor or coach or advisor is giving you wisdom, are you able to hold it? Are you capable? Capacity speaks to capability. Are you capable of receiving that wisdom, internalizing, or as we're talking about in our organization, cellulating, absorbing, assimilating what that wisdom is and converting it into you? So you're hearing it, and then you're processing it, you're accepting it, you're absorbing it, and then it becomes a part of your output in whatever you do. Dr. Price says, I know who my mentees are by who takes what I say and does something with it in the direction in which I've said to do it. You know this with children. If you've raised children, you know it. Let's just say you have a business, ministry, whatever, and you're looking for if anybody in your family is qualified to be a successor. You're going to determine which child thinks the most like you in all the ways that are beneficial, at least, who heeds your wisdom, who takes initiative without being told. Now, let me just lean in on this. Hold on, where's my bell? Here's the bell. All right. Taking initiative can get you into a lot of trouble if you're going out of order. So taking initiative might be, I kept seeing that this one trash can is always overflowing. And I realized it's just too small. So I went and bought a bigger trash can. And now it's not overflowing. I hope that's okay. Versus trying to run up through the leadership ranks to bypass the system to do something that has inspired you. So taking initiative can get you into trouble if you are out of order in doing it, whether it's in your company, in ministry. Anybody ever been there where you thought you had a really great idea, you jumped out there and did it, and it actually got you into a little bit more trouble than you thought it would be? Let me tilt this down. Than you thought it would be, because you realized, or you didn't realize at the time, you were out of order in implementing your idea. So in with the mentorship, you have got to want to become in many ways who your mentor is. And then also, you have to test their fruit, take your time, and examine. Now, in Eternity's Generals on page 300, she talks about traditional mentorship formation. You need to read this in your own time. If you're somebody who is like, yes, I want to come under tutelage, because there's mentorship, there's coaching, advising, and then you have counseling, you have inspiring, tutoring. There's various levels of impartation and training and grooming that have different outcomes. But ordinarily, she says, mentors choose their mentees and not the other way around. So whenever you sign up here, let's just say, like, Apostle Ashley, I want you to be my apostolic advisor or my apostolic mentor. We're going to do a discovery call. I'm going to talk to you and see if, in fact, you're qualified for what I have to offer, if you're ready for what I have to offer, or for me to determine, oh, what I would want to pour into you, you're not ready yet. Or, hey, you can actually take a lot more than I thought. The exploration period of a mentorship, advisor, coaching relationship is essential. And she talks about in here how many times somebody will jump out there, a novice will jump out there to a leader trying to push themselves on them, usually in a vulnerable moment. And that leader will say, no, almost discourage them from what they want to do. They'll say, you are my mentor. And she says, expecting joy and confirmation, they can be met with a very different response. A mentor that has been there before may flat out discourage the novice. Wounded at the unexpected response, many of them walk away from the encounter confused. While there are numerous reasons for this reaction, sometimes it is simply because experienced ministers respond with caution and do not jump at the chance to obey another's word to them from the Lord. Another equally imprudent response is when the tender-hearted elder minister just acquiesces to the declaration, unsure of how to tactfully get out of it. Oh, yeah, we've seen those before. I mean, I know people who will try and push and push and push their way into my sphere, push their way into my personal life over the years, push their way into the inner circle, so to speak, push their way into it and not be invited. So you need to be invited into things and not ingratiate your way in or dangle a carrot your way in or parlay another relationship into something else. Oh, bye. You need to be invited in. I'm inviting you to email me, message me, let me know, post here. I'm interested in knowing more about this. You can message me on Facebook, I guess, as well, and leave your email information so I can send you the link for the discovery call and things like that. But you need to not push your way into the mentorship relationship, no matter what it is, whether it's ministry or it's another career that you are in. Let's just say you are in the medical field or you're in the teaching field. It really doesn't matter. Business, finance, and you see where you want to be, and you just push your way in, push your way in, push your way in instead of earning your way in. Mentorship is earned. Now, what we offer is a service, which is why there is a different way to do it versus something like in our organization, where by proximity and working with somebody, where we're recognizing there's some strong leadership qualities that are showing up here in the raw, maybe unrefined, maybe need to be smoothed out, go through 3 or 4 years of training and schooling before you're ready for a higher level leadership, that sort of thing. But this is a different dynamic altogether with our prophetic ed mentorship. But you need to earn your way into the mentorship circle, the menteeship circle. You've got to earn it. Now, what does earning it look like? Honestly, that depends on the organization. That can differ from where you are. Some people, it is about whose ring you kiss to get in. Others, it's about trading down. But the authentic, legitimate, righteous ones, it's about you demonstrating the ability to embody. So you going back to capacity, you have to be capable of housing that wisdom, of housing that counsel and of doing some and doing something with it. It's not just about your own private interpretation. There are people who instinctually are rebellious. And let me tell you what, they can have the sweetest, funniest, best personality in the building and actually be the most unruly. This is why we take our time in our organization to measure and figure out who people really are. There are things that people got away with when we were vulnerable. Not a chance now. Oh, don't even bring that to me. There were concessions that we made on our own standards as far as time frames in which people had to be trained before they would be utilized because we needed the help, and that rarely worked out in our favor. So now, well, we're well established now, and it's like, nope, this is the process. Nope, this is the process. I have had people, some people pull me aside and tell me the most amazing, wonderful things about my leadership and inspiration and all that kind of stuff. And you know what I say? Sign up for advisements. Yeah. First thing I'm going to see is, do you believe in the system? Do you believe, first of all, do you believe in my leadership enough to pay for it? You're going to pay for Maxwell's leadership. You're going to pay for now, Bezos. You're going to pay for Elon Musk. You're going to buy their books. You're going to pay for their time. You're going to invest. So when you've seen somebody who has accomplished what you want to achieve, especially in the body of Christ, we want everything for free and on the sly. But like I said, yes, Jesse, like I said, not a chance. Not a chance. I am the most amiable rejecter. Oh, thank you so much. Go sign up for my advisements. Because if I know you're not serious, I know you're not going to do it. And you're going to say all these great, amazing things and still not do it. And you know what? This is your future. This is your destiny. This is where you want to end up. I am already on track to where I'm going. And you have to understand that your mentor is already where you want to be or who you want to become, no matter what field it is in. So if you do not want to go through the process of getting to the top, it's not going to affect them. It's going to affect you. Even if you're brilliant, if you're smart, if you have something to offer and people like to use that, and my goodness, don't even have money, because then people like to throw money at you. I've had people, I mean, they've sown some wonderful seeds over the years to me, and I have told them at the point of they want to give me something, before you give this to me, just understand this is not changing anything about our relationship like that. Whatever gift this is, whatever financial seed you want to sow, is not you buying your way into bypassing the process. So we're clear. Don't come back to me later trying to get me to cut corners with you because you sowed $1,000, $2,000 seed. Don't do it. Don't think that I'm going to let you run up all over the place on me in church because you blessed my life over here. If that's your motive, then keep your gift. We're honest about that around here. I'm not the person, well, now, no, I'm going to say hi. Obviously, I'm going to speak to people. There's certainly a protocol. I mean, I love the people in our church, so I'm not saying the ice queen comes out. What I'm saying is, do not use your gifts as a way to bribe your way into a mentor-mentee relationship. Okay? Don't use your gifts as bribery. I'm going to cook you these meals. I'm going to buy you a whole new wardrobe of clothes. I'm going to clean your car, have it detailed every week as a means of bribery. Now, there are people who they bless. I mean, they're givers. They just give, and you can tell because that's just who they are. And then they're like, I'll be in the back. Please don't even call my name. I don't want anybody to know. On days of special recognition, don't even mention it. I just want to do this unto the Lord. And that's okay. Those people are a treasure, and they're few and far between because they're givers. No, because they give without what is the word I want to use? Guilt tripping. They give without guilt tripping you later. That's a gift right there. Someone who, eventually will try and hang it over your head. Well, I did. Well, I mean, I did sow that money to you. And so now I'm hard up and I really need you, or I need the church. See, if that's your motive for doing something. Now, I do believe in being there for your givers. Absolutely. We've had people who have sown to us and then later on have gone through some hard times, and we've been there for them. I mean, hey, let's work this thing out. Let's see what we can do. You've been faithful in the house of the Lord. You've been blessing. You've been a blessing for years or months or whatever. But usually when we find out, those people aren't trying to entice us. We're moved to do it. Like Jesus was moved with compassion. No, let's make this thing happen. So I just want to make sure we're hearing this in balance. I'm talking about not using good deeds as a means to bribe your way into the mentorship relationship. Because bless the Lord, oh my soul. Okay, and then not being able to get out of it. Generally, these two models are how Christian mentorships form. And depending upon which of the two birthed the arrangement, a healthy or extremely dysfunctional relationship begins. I think we've all seen both very healthy mentorships and very dysfunctional ones. The ones where, I mean, I have seen some things over the years, and the ones where you have one person just, I mean, giving and giving and giving and giving of themselves to their mentor or their covering or their leader, and them getting literally nothing in return. But the impression or the belief system that, well, you know, I'm the man or woman of God and you should just be happy to be carrying my bags kind of thing. And I'm like, huh? What else am I getting? I can get paid. I can get a paycheck to do this somewhere else. Like, why am I serving you? Our chief apostle, she says, if you're going to be that close to me, this is not going to be about you just carrying my bags or whatever. Anybody who has worked close to Dr. Paula Price is a leader in ministry, successful on their job, their career outside of this church. We're writers, broadcasters, creators, inventors. We have different products, side businesses, side hustles, multiple streams of income. We've traveled around the world with her, many of us, or at least around the country, more of us. And you could see the world has been opened up to us as a result of that servant position. So, where you have to examine your mentor that maybe you're praying that God would speak to, or an advisor or a coach that you're going to sign up with and say, where have they taken their people? Now, that could be a geographic take, or professionally, or ministerially. Dr. Price made sure that we were old enough, not chronologically old enough, but old enough in our mantles to survive the temptation of this arena, the temptations of this arena. Again, she was put under tremendous fire for years because people thought she was sitting on our gifts. You're sitting on their gifts. They're such talented girls. You need to let them out there. And everybody knows if you sit under Dr. Price, you're not going to be able to, whatever, whatever. And she said, let me tell you something. I know the devils that are waiting for you. See, that's the sound of a mentor who's covering their people. I know the devils that are out there waiting for you. I know the temptations that are going to take you out. I'm looking at the things I have to correct in you now, in-house, under my covering, under my wings. If I put you out there in the kingdom, it's going to take you out in less than a year. And she predicted accurately every single person who fell off. She called years in advance. And every single one who's making it, she called years in advance. See, does you're the person who you're seeking to mentor, or do you have that type of insight with your mentees? My mentees, I can prophesy to them, nope, this is who God called you to be. This is a journey you're going to be on. This is how long it's going to take you. This is the plan you need to be on. These are the things that we're going to fight. Oh, yeah. Dr. Price told me every single issue that we've come to blows about. She said it. No, we will fight about that. Not today, but it's coming. 2 years later, boom, there we are. Didn't happen too often, but every single one. So as a mentor, now I'm shifting to mentors. As a mentor or a coach, if you don't have the insight into the people under you, they're probably not yours. If you can't say where this mentee is supposed to be in life, who God called this person to be, how they're going to get there, then you're not the one who has at least the totality of what they need to cross over. It's not enough to just rack up people. The elite people have a small number of people that they coach. Honestly, because it takes a lot of energy as a mentor to groom a mentee. So you don't want to have 10, 15, 25 mentees on that level. And even if you have that many people who you're tutoring and training, there's still out of that, let's just say 25, maybe 3 that you're really grooming for greatness, even though your team might have some really good people in it, but in close proximity to you, because you'll end up with the Moses model. You have the top leaders, they have the ones that they groom, and then under them have the ones that they groom. Ultimately, they all fall under your covering and umbrella, but you are not charged with the pressure and the demand of having to have hands on with everybody. So there's those of us at the top of our organization, even the top of the organization. There's the top of the top. Jesus had his what? He had his disciples, and then he had the 3, Peter, James, and John, and ultimately there was John. So he kept in a group of 12, there was still 3 layers of impact in a group of 12 people with Jesus Christ himself. Why? Because of their capacity. We see even Peter, James, John. Peter was never really converted, but man, was he powerful. Woo! He had that wisdom, but he just couldn't convert. James, John, the others, there was doubt, there was questioning. Some of them really just got an honorable mention as being there. Once they got in and once they were named as Jesus choosing them, you really didn't hear much of anything about them after that. Paul wrote the lion's share of the New Testament. He didn't walk with Jesus in the flesh, but the living Christ showed up to him. And so you have got to understand as a mentor who is telling you, I'm not able. I'm not able. We learned the hard way to listen to people when they're telling you they can't do it, and just understand that's the truth. You cannot want somebody's destiny more than they want it for themselves. You cannot believe in their destinies for them and push it on them more than they're pushing for it themselves. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Ministers, and because we have bleeding hearts for people, because God put it in us to care, even when we don't want to care about all the people and to see to it. And after they've smacked you in the face and lied on you and done all these things, to still go after them and rescue them sometimes. He put that in us to do. And so you can override all their ways and times of telling you they're not able to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to put in the hours. How many people don't want to put in the hours it takes to become excellent? I don't want to study like that. I just want to become. Just tell me what books to read, Apostle. Just tell me what books to read, and then I'll be good. No, no, you'll be well read, but that doesn't mean that you will be groomed and ready. Being well read and being ready are not the same thing. Oh, somebody write that down. Being well read, reading books, and being ready or fit for the master's use, not the same thing. And in this particular paradigm, we think that being well read equates to being ready, and it does not. It does not. It does not. It does not. You can. Sometimes, come on, we had the post, and I've done it too, where you take a picture of all the books that you're reading, and let's just say, since we're speaking apostolically, prophetically, there's somebody who's going to have Bishop Bill Hammond's book, Dr. Price's book, Dr. Cindy Trim's book, maybe I don't know if Apostle Ryan Lestrange, does he have books? Because I know he teaches, maybe Apostle Lestrange, and you'll have the lineup of people who have written all these books, and you're like, oh yeah, 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 I'm going in on it, I'm taking it in. You're well read. And that's important. But being well read and being ready, reading books and going through a training program are not the same thing. Not the same thing. He said, help my generation of ministers. I know that's the truth, sir. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Not the same. Not the same. I think I'm going to hit on this until the Lord's return. Being well read. You see my bookshelf back here? Lord have mercy. Let me see. This is a real shelf. I have books, 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 books. That's the top. Oh, there's more. Those are pictures up there. Books coming out of my ears. All right, coming out of my ears. And I've been through most of them. I haven't read all of them yet. And guess what? Me reading 3 books on makeup doesn't make me an expert on makeup. I went to school to learn about makeup in theater. It was a part of my theater training. Me talking every week online, and my mother's probably laughing right now because she talks about how I can just run my mouth. Me talking online every week doesn't make me an expert communicator. Being trained since middle school in public speaking, that is what made me a professional public speaker. Having speech coaching in middle school, high school, college, that is what has made me and given me the ability to clearly articulate forever amen if I need to on a subject matter. That's what's done it. I've had people say, Apostle Ashley, you're just so gifted. Bless the Lord at speaking, public speaking. I am gifted because God has to put something in you to work with in an area. But I am well trained, and I tell people I am well trained because I don't want you to think that it's just the anointing that fell on me that made me able to just articulate. It was years. I have books on public speaking, books on radio broadcasting, books on media production, books on all of those things. I have some other people's books as well that they let me borrow. Thank you. On those subjects, constantly refining. I teach public speaking. So if you're a minister or somebody who speaks in public, for example, you can email me as well. Let me put that email address back up there. If you want more information about public speaking lessons, yes, I can work with you in refining your public speaking. Preachers can be notorious for being terrible public speakers because they have an amazing message and it gets lost in grammatical errors and fillers and ums and and 52 hallelujahs and 32 amens and as Tevin says, and some shananas, throwing the shananas in there. And the next thing you know, they've been preaching for an hour, but they've only had 30 minutes of content and 30 minutes of filler. Maybe you're getting nervous about speaking in public on your job. Maybe you're not a preacher. Then email me and say, I want to know more information. I want you to train me in public speaking. I have a package that offers 4 lessons, 6 lessons, one-on-one. I can whip up some creative ones too. I have some available on my website at ashleycministries.com. I think I have a couple public speaking yeah, I do. I have a couple public speaking webinars that you can download to own. You can go to ashleycministries.com, go to my product store. It takes work. It takes work. Being groomed. So I'm going to come back to it. Being well read on a subject does not make you ready. It doesn't. Having passion does not make you effective. Dr. Price has taken on this political position that she is in. And so many people in the political arena have zero experience. She wasn't trying to be a political leader, but she had extensive leadership experience and adapted it into this stream. And so a lot of people jump out there on passion and really don't have the skill, which is why they get crushed every single time. Now, this first couple times you probably will because you're new. That's in any field or career. But after 5 or 10 years or so, you should be rising in what you are endeavoring to do or what God has called you to do. Apostolic mentorship. What would I offer if you wanted to be trained by me apostolically? We're shifting gears again here. Teaching you how to have a balanced sense of God's judgment. This is from the faculties and features. See, because we're going to work on the faculties and features of the apostles' mantle or the apostolic's mantle. How to restrain your reactions. Ooh, anybody need help on that? How to restrain? Come on, how many of us go to post that thing on Facebook? We've seen the post that says it, and then God says, delete it. There have been so many things I wanted to say that I have not. Why? Because leaders restrain themselves. In general, leaders restrain themselves. Making prudent decisions. We're going to work on you learning how to make prudent decisions. Divine encounters. What is your commission? Do you have one? How about working on your delegation of power and authority? Some people don't know how to delegate. Then you over delegate, or you under delegate, or you misdelegate, delegating the wrong thing. Like, oh, you should have done that yourself. This you can pass along. That was probably one of the hardest things for me to grasp in my early years of leadership was what should I be doing versus when is it time to delegate? The number one pitfall that I have observed in delegation, do you want to know? Do you want to know? The number one pitfall that I have observed in misdelegation is delegating because you don't want to do something. Wrong reason to delegate. If the reason you're passing something off is because you don't want to do it, that is not a good reason to delegate a task to someone else. It's not a good reason. That's why many people get in trouble with delegation, because they're delegating what they don't want to do, which usually ends up being a fairly large part of their job, or an important piece of their job, or one of the main reasons that they were hired for that job. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to run errands and you're going to find a gopher person to do some things for you, but you were actually hired to run errands, you understand that your boss or supervisor is going to say, well, if you're offloading what I gave you to do, primarily gave you to do onto somebody else, why are you here? Selah. So that's just a tidbit on some things that you'll learn about leadership, authority, delegation. When is it time to delegate? Who should you choose to delegate to? Or are you just going to have to suck it up for another season and get it done yourself? And if you're in have a small team to work with, you're pretty much going to have to do a lot of things yourself. Now, I'll say this: when you study a lot of big celebrities and stars, and I have, still, I watch how the greatest ones do it. Even if I don't agree with a thing that they're doing and producing, I still want to learn, how did you become great? What mentality? I can name some of the top 5 biggest stars in the world, and their team is a tight team of usually less than 10 people. Big. Have sold out shows in Vegas, global tours, and the people who make it happen. I'm not talking about the hands that execute everything, but the people who make it happen, small team. Some of them, they've been working with the same team of 5 brains for 30 years. So and so always masters the lighting. This one always does cameras. This one always does my hair and makeup. This one always does so on and so forth. And they work with a tight crew. Many times when we're overwhelmed, I'm not going to say overworked, because sometimes you can feel overworked and you're just overwhelmed. When you're overwhelmed, you just want more people. I just need more help. I just need more help. No, no, you need to strategize. You need to think. I was just speaking with somebody the other day about working hard, how it's don't work hard, work smart. And I said, well, that can be very misleading to people, because they can often think if they're working hard that they're doing something wrong. Now, I know why that statement came into being, that belief system in business, that you can be spinning your wheels doing all this hard work and there's a more efficient way to get things done. But in this generation, where they now feel that working hard means you're not working smart, you can kind of have that pendulum go the wrong way, where people are like, oh no, I don't want to put in all that work. There has to be a smarter way to do this so I don't have to work hard. That's not true. You need to work hard and smart, smartly hard, not hardly smart. Okay? You need to work smartly hard. Yes, you're going to put in long hours. Last night I was texting after Dr. Price's broadcast with some of the team of our PR company that she has, that's getting her into all these amazing places. And I said, well, it's just really great that none of us sleep, because some of them are East Coast time. And I'm thinking it's like 10:30 where I am. And they're like, oh no, we don't sleep. This is why we're getting everything done. That kind of thing. I might have some of those late night texts and chats with friends and friendly colleagues. But, if you're not that, don't reach out to me at that hour, because, I'm awake. It's not going to work well for you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. Just delegate that till tomorrow. All right. Reassign. All right. Divine authorization. A definite divine mandate. Do you know your mandate as a person, minister, apostle, prophet? Do you know? And let me see, an evidential sense of Christ's purpose for apostleship. These are some things that could flow through the mentorship program, depending on who you are and what God has called you to do. For example, we're not going to be working on your principalic strata and stratosphere if in fact you're not called to one. And we're not going to kick around things. Now, I will answer any questions that you may have, but still any questions relevant, but still be clear. I'm going to answer this question for you, but it doesn't mean that it's for you to do. Be very clear that you don't mislead people in your mentorship of them Everybody's not the same, which is why we have assessments that you can take. I don't have one up there yet. I have to get one for next week. Which is why you can take an assessment to even determine your level of readiness and where you begin. Anybody that we mentor, they're assessed first. So we know, who are you? Where are you in your readiness? Where is your potential? Where should you end up? Okay. Knowledge and wisdom. Does anybody have any questions for me? I have about 10 minutes, 5 minutes left, I think. You can post your questions if you have any questions. Do you have a knowledge and wisdom of divine law and government? These are things that we can work through. Now, just understand that these mentorship sessions and the advisements are not a substitute for academic education. You are not going to get from me, and I'm saying this because there's always at least one or two people who are like, oh, so you're saying I don't have to go to school? I can just sign up to be your advisee or mentee? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you definitely have to go to school. All right. So reading books and having a coach or an advisor or a mentor is not a substitute for academic education. The two go very well. I think advisement is a great prep and support and follow up. That's something, it's like taking your supplements. You always want to take having the healthy elements of your diet every single day. Once you achieve your ideal weight, your ideal BMI, your ideal whatever, then that's, yeah, go to school. Thank you, Prophet Dwayne. Go to school. You go to school. I know you were finishing school though. Okay. What's the best way? Marcia's question over here on YouTube. What's the best way to push through procrastination? Lord Jesus. The best way to push through it for me is I've had to actually sit down and think consequences. And I've had to tell myself and ask myself, really, how long do you want to deal with the consequence of your laziness? That's the question. See, because like when we want to come out of procrastination, many times we're waiting for a feeling to happen. Like, I want to feel like I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. And not that it's, you have to think your way out of that. How long do I want to deal with these consequences? How long do I want to have to wade through, for example, late fees because I put off paying a bill, had the money and didn't pay the bill? How long am I going to have to deal with those kind of consequences? So that's how I have gotten myself out of over the years. And there are some things, trust me, I'm still getting myself out of habits. There's just a few left, but that's how, is like, what's the consequence of this? And then asking myself, why do I keep doing this to myself? Why is this my default setting on this issue? And then you might have to, sign up for 3D. Okay, any other questions? Oh, you know what? We're actually out of time. Yep, we're out of time here. Okay, banners. If you want to sow a seed, if you thought that was seed worthy. Oh, wonderful. If you thought that was seed worthy, you can go ahead and sow a seed into Apostle of the Future. And again, I'll put up before we go my email address one more time. If you're interested in, or you know somebody who would be interested in apostolic mentorship, apostolic advisement, then go ahead and email me and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. Email me at this email address, more information. What I will most likely do is start off by sending you a link to schedule a discovery call where we would address and just talk about 15-minute call. So I don't need your whole life story. It's not going to be an hour. It's not going to be an advisement. It's not going to be a coaching session. It's a discovery call for you to discover what we offer and me to discover the best pipeline to send you through, because you might think you need one thing. And I'm like, oh, actually, we have somebody over here who would be the most beneficial to you. Yeah, how long do you want to deal with the consequences of that laziness? Yeah, so there's giving information. And here is my email address. And so you can email me. But I want to thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast of Apostle of the Future. Always, the next week, I have a whole new thing I'm working on. I started talking about it yesterday with Rachel, and I just need a little more time to work through this revelation, maybe another week, maybe two, before rolling it out. So I'm excited about that. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.